Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news, a daily briefing on stand-up comedy comedians in the comedy industry, a sentence the algorithm loves, so I'll keep saying it. Boy, big exciting news from Jim Gaffigan. You're never going to believe who he's going to play in Season 4 of HBO's The Gilded Age. Are you excited for Season 4? In Season 4 of HBO's The Gilded Age, Bertha changed society at a cost. Now her family must reckon with the consequences as Agnes seizes an opportunity to regain her position. Meanwhile, Marion forges a new path for herself, and Peggy works to be accepted by her future in-laws. In this new era, you must be careful what you wish for, and you'll never guess who Jim Gaffigan's going to play in Season 4 of HBO's The Gilded Age. Have you guessed correctly? That's right. He will play Grover Cleveland, the 22nd President of the United States. In Season 4 of HBO's The Gilded Age, Jim Gaffigan's President Grover Cleveland comes to New York to curry favor with the elite class. Congratulations to Nate Bargatze. He is back on top in Billboard's monthly comedy box score recap for January. Nate had been on top from August through November, but John Mulaney took the top spot in December. Well, Nate is back on top. His 7 shows grossed $5.1 million and sold 64,100 tickets. The rest of your list, in 5th place, Jim Gaffigan grossed $1.5 million. He sold 17,900 tickets across 10 shows. So Jim is playing 2,000-seat theaters? Thought he'd be playing a little bigger room. Matt Rife grossed $1.5 million. 2 shows, 17,900 tickets. Bert Kreischer, $1.6 million. 7 shows, 26,000 tickets. Number 2, John Mulaney. $2.9 million, 29,100 tickets, 12 shows. And again, Nate, 6 shows, 64,100, $5.1 million. Jimmy Kimmel has a great idea that Jimmy Kimmel should host the White House Correspondents Dinner, and his logic makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, Kimmel is not hosting it. As Kimmel explains, this year, I guess Trump didn't want to be made fun of by a comedian, so the host is a mentalist. We'll have a mentalist and a mental case on stage together. Send your letters to Jimmy Kimmel. Kimmel explains the mentalist is a guy named Oz Pearlman. He's an amazing performer, and I'm sure he'll be able to predict what Trump isn't thinking, but this feels like a cop-out to me, and I want to address the president directly on this. Mr. President, please let me host this dinner. I've never asked you for anything before. Can you imagine you, me, the commissioner of the FCC, all at a table together? Think of the ratings. That's not a joke. That would be amazing. Kimmel said, I'll even throw in an award. You like awards? I'll give you a brand new award, the Correspondee, the Dundee Correspondee. No one will ever get it besides you. Please give the people what they want for once. This is our destiny together, you and me. Think about it. Let's make it the greatest, hottest, most spectacular dinner of any kind ever. Chelsea Handler, who once dated Joe Coy, who once hosted the Golden Globes, who once made a joke about Taylor Swift, but I'm not doing that bit today. She caught up with Cleveland.com. They were curious if Chelsea Handler feels more free on stage now as opposed to 10 years ago. Chelsea said, freer and more responsible at the same time. As a comedian right now, it feels purposeful to give people a reprieve from the world we're living in, which is a very dark chapter in this country's history. I take having a good time very seriously, and I take making sure my audience has a good time very seriously. That matters. Cleveland was curious, what do you think comedy is actually for right now, the comfortable or the uncomfortable? Chelsea Handler said, definitely the uncomfortable. Comfortable people don't usually have the best personalities. I'm not trying to supply comedy for them. Comedy is for people who are struggling, who are being targeted, who want more humanity, not less. People who care about community, about families staying together. That's who I'm talking to. All right, Chelsea, anything off limits in your comedy? She said, I don't make fun of children, especially not ugly children. That's not funny. Otherwise, I pull from my stories, my adventures, my magnetic attraction to outrageousness. That's where everything starts. Chris Fleming was on Caleb Hearon's podcast, and the name Mike Birbiglia came up. Now, you may recall recently, Mike Birbiglia passed a note to John Mulaney, and Birbiglia apparently had written down the name of a comedian that those two think might perhaps, maybe be doing an impression of John Mulaney. Now, in the great comedy war of 2026, I'm on Team Gianmarco Ceresi against those mean bullies, Birbiglia and Mulaney. And I think we could put Chris Fleming on the side of Gianmarco. Again, when the great comedy war breaks out, I'm choosing sides, and I'm going with Team Fun. Anyway, here's Chris Fleming.
You say things about people that I'm like, if I did that, I would be in trouble.
Oh, but it only makes them wilder for me when I say it.
Yeah.
Birbiglia won't stop ringing me.
Yeah. Have you said things about Mike?
Oh, so many things.
Yeah.
I can't stop talking about
You
it.
really get away with these things. I don't know how.
Yeah, I think it's a kink people have.
We'll have to see if Birbiglia responds to that. Maybe he'll pass a note. I don't want to get a note. Jim Breuer caught up with the Advocate ahead of some recent shows down in Baton Rouge, and they were curious if Jim would be doing any Baton Rouge jokes. Jim said, yeah, before the show, I usually hit a downtown area and I walk around. I like hitting coffee shops. I like having lunch in town. Maybe listen to conversations or I just try to get the feel of the area, and that's usually my opening couple of minutes, trying to get the local feel before I launch into what I've loosely planned for the evening. I have told this story before, but I will tell it again. Absolutely, he does that. I'm positive of that. We were at the Aspen Comedy Festival. I went out to breakfast with Jim and Pete Corielli. We got like pancakes or something. It was snowing outside. And at one point, Jim goes, there's no festival in this festival. And it was just a thought, and we went out and had our breakfast. And then, I don't know, 14 hours later, at a show that also included Dave Chappelle, Breuer got up and did 10 minutes on there's no festival at this festival and did a whole routine about snowball fights, etc., that I can guarantee you did not exist before we sat down for breakfast. So I absolutely believe him when he says he walks around town and looks for inspiration. Been there, done that, seen it. Jim, can we bring kids to your show? He said, I never suggest small kids, and only because they can't understand half the material, but I call it PG-13, and the only reason I say PG-13 is more the awareness. I don't curse, I don't swear, I'm not going to go into subjects that make you cringe. I've been doing that for 15 years or so, maybe more, so no worries about bringing younger people. Jim described his comedy style as observational. He said, I'd say a clean Richard Pryor, if that makes sense. Because Richard Pryor made he would observe life and retell it, and that's all. I'm a storyteller. I'm too dry today. Iced coffee, everybody. I can't get my Breuer growl on. I live life, and then I turn around and tell it and whatever's going on in life that everyone relates to. Jim, what did you take away from your time on SNL? I know it sounds crazy, but what I took away from it was I mostly wanted to control my own destiny in my career and be at home more after that show and set my own pace in life and in this business. Again, when I worked with Jim, it's probably 20 years ago now. Yep, that's exactly where he was. Just wanted to be home with his family, taking care of his dad, looking out for the kids, and did not trust the industry at all. Jim, do you still pursue film roles? This is a good interview. Jim said, I never really got to do films I truly want to do. I'm literally at the stage now where I started writing more, and honestly, I'm more in a dramedy than anything I've ever done. Back then, I was chasing harder to be in movies and be in the spotlight. Well, that's the last of my desires these days. To me, I'm more about inspiring healing, helping people through with laughter. I've written some. I'm writing one now. I don't even think I'd be in it, to be honest with you. I think I'm too old to play the part. I got to get down to Australia. I was in Australia at the end of 2015. I loved Australia. Like I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I mean, the weather's awesome. The people are super nice. The country's pretty. And it just seemed like less complicated, maybe just less developed. Like, you know, there was not everything was a parking lot yet. Not everything was a TJ Maxx and a Target and a Starbucks. Like, it just seemed like, in some ways, a simpler version of America. Not sure the Australians would appreciate that description, but I mean that with love, and I would love to actually live there, at least for a while. I also love living in America. Let me be clear. I'm not saying America sucks. I'm just saying I also like Australia. I also really like France. I also really like Ireland. I also really like Italy. So what we're going to have to do is run more mid-roll commercials so I can fund my international nomad life telling you about comedy festivals like the 2026 Sydney Comedy Festival. It will present over 400 shows in its biggest program ever. That'll be coming up in April. If you've listened for a few years, you know that I like to cover that one a lot and play some clips from some people that are not normally talked about on this American-focused program. Some names you don't know, but I think it's just fun to take a look at what else is happening in the world. And it is a great festival. You know, if you guys want to invite me down and cover it, Sydney Comedy Festival, just shoot me a note. The festival announced some international and local talent, including Daniel Sloss, Dave O'Doherty, Josh Thomas, Celia Pacola, Joanne McNally, and Ruben Kay. They join the already announced Tiffany Haddish and the creator of Baby Reindeer, Richard Gadd. The Sydney Comedy Festival general manager, James DeClass, who should email me, invite me, said, with almost 400 shows over 5 massive weeks of comedy, we are pleased to welcome you to the biggest Sydney Comedy Festival program ever. Get ready to laugh, Sydney. We have many surprises in store for you. Meanwhile, in Perth, also in April and May, hey, Perth guys, I'll come. Shoot me a note. They have also announced Daniel Sloss, Joanne McNally, Barcelona-based Irish comedian Kyla Cobbler, and Canada's Colin Mockery. Very international festival in Perth. They are also announcing the return of Malaysian doctor-turned-comedian Dr. Jason Long, UK-born Australian resident nurse Georgie Carroll, Hong Kong's Chan Lok Tim, and an annual visitor to Perth, Ireland's David O'Doherty. Some more Irish folk coming: Chris Kent, Enya Martin, Mike Rice, and Alison Spittle. From England, Elf Lyons, Russian-British comedian Olga Koch, festival stalwart Stephen K. Amos, he's really great, and UK drag queen Myra Dubois. Vanity Fair had put out an article a couple weeks back. It's been busy around here. The headline, Bowen Yang, Brittany Broski, and 8 other hosts who are shattering the talk show format. Tap the brakes there, Vanity Fair. They tell us the talk show is alive and well and living online. It's Jennifer Lawrence sobbing convulsively as the effects of Hot Ones spicy wings kick in. Tina Fey reading Bowen Yang, The Riot Act on Las Culturistas. And some other examples. Vanity Fair tells us for decades, cheeky daddy figures from Jack Paar and Johnny Carson to Jimmy's, Fallon, and Kimmel sat atop the Hollywood food chain. You know, I love late night at all, but if your premise here is going to be like poking at Jack Paar, I mean, really? I mean, why don't we talk about like comedians like Mark Twain used to wear seersucker suits and now Matt Rife's on TikTok? I mean, what are you talking about? Did Mark Twain wear a seersucker suit? Is that an accurate description? It created a mental picture. It got the job done. They were industry gatekeepers, presiding over essential press tour pit stops and thresholds where an up-and-comer could become a household name overnight. The newer, more democratized model where digital influencers wield more clout than many traditional stars relies on realness. Dude, none of this stuff is real. Are you kidding me? Between the sets and the filters and the gimmicks? Like, for example, hey, celebrity, come over and eat some spicy wings. You think that's real? Come on. Royal Court creator Brittany Broski said, the whole point of these internet-based shows is people crave a real parasocial connection with their favorite celebrities. There used to be this barrier between celebrities and the average person, and that has kind of dissolved. Has it? Is Pete Davidson having you over to his garage? Vanity Fair's brain kicked back in, and they wrote, talk shows have always been performative, conjuring an illusion of intimacy between strangers surrounded by lights, cameras, and a studio audience. And then their brain short-circuited again. They wrote, the new crop of celebrity interviewers have found their own ways to short-circuit the artificiality and elicit real human moments. Yeah, like, you know, feeding somebody spicy wings. Nothing artificial about that. Stop with this. I can't with this. Go read it in Vanity Fair. This makes me want to throw my computer across the room. I'm going to wrap up for today and go back to my cabin in the woods up on Old Man Mountain. And that's your comedy news for today. See you tomorrow.